It's time to fully get caught up on Sox talk. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. I hope everyone enjoyed their day yesterday, whether it be Merry Christmas, whether it be the first day of Hanukkah, whatever it was yesterday. I hope you guys enjoyed it. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down all the latest Red Sox news. There was a trade that happened over the last couple of days that I think we need to talk about, and also the latest on where the Red Sox are standing with one of their biggest free agent targets. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the move that was actually made, and this was a trade that occurred on Tuesday, the day before Christmas Eve, if you will, and that was the Red Sox trading Mickey Gasper to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for left-handed reliever Jovani Moran. Now, Moran did get Tommy John surgery before the 2024 season began, so he has not pitched in Major League Baseball since 2023, but breaking down those statistics, right off the bat, I think a lot of people are going to look at that ERA and go, what the heck are the Red Sox doing, right? Because in 23, in 42 and 2/3 innings, he had a 5.31 ERA and an 83 ERA plus, about 17% below league average production. However, there is some statistics on this stat line right here that may look a little bit better than that 5.3 ERA. The first one is his FIP, which was at 3.82, so he was pitching pretty significantly better than his ERA leads to believe, right? The stuff that he can control, he was doing it pretty well. His FIP was a bit high at 1.465, mainly due to the fact that he was walking a whole lot of dudes in 23 at 5.7 per 9 innings. However, in all fairness to that, again, with every bad statistic, you can kind of point to a good statistic here. He was still missing a lot of bats. He had a 10.2 strikeouts per 9 in this season as well. What's extremely intriguing, in my opinion, about Moran isn't so much the statistics on the back of his baseball card, but what he could be, what the peripherals are telling us when we're looking at his statistics. Because if you look at his baseball savant page, there's actually a whole lot of red here. He does a lot of things really, really well. The two biggest things he does well are, one, he limits hard contact. Whether you want to look at average exit velocity, hard hit percentage, barrel percentage, they're all towards the top of the league, meaning he's doing a great job at limiting players' abilities to make really solid contact against him. In fact, he only has 3 home runs given up at the major league level between almost 90 innings between 2022 and 2023. That's a really big amount of weak contact on the mound. Now, it's not a ton of ground balls, which I think is interesting, right? He was kind of average when it came to generating ground balls, but it is a lot of weak contact, and he's able to keep the ball in the yard, which is an intriguing option. The other thing that immediately jumps out the page on this baseball savant is the fact that he gets a ton of swing and miss on his pitches in the zone, specifically. Outside of the zone, not a ton, right? In fact, a very little amount. He doesn't get a ton of chases on pitches outside the zone, but in the zone, he's really solid at missing bats. It's towards the top of the league in whiff rate. It obviously is leading to a high strikeout rate. We talked about it, but in terms of a percentage, it's about 26%. So he's striking out essentially 1 every 4 batters he was facing last year. So looking at the overall statistics, right, if you just look at the ERA, you're going to sit there and you're going to say, what are the Red Sox thinking with this guy? But if you really break it down a little bit more, specifically with that off-speed stuff and specifically in the zone, Moran actually looks like he could be a really solid left-handed option once he gets healthy, because obviously that's the big caveat here, right? Ultimately, I think this is a depth move for the Red Sox. This is a left-handed reliever who has an option left for minor league baseball. This is a guy who you're not going to see, I would guess, until probably midway through 2025, probably more likely in 2026, but you didn't really give up much to get this guy, right? Mickey Gasper was a pretty intriguing name, especially if you look at his AAA statistics, but at the major league level, he wasn't ever going to be a major league catcher. You have options to be sort of a utility infielder, switch hitting options to be a utility infielder who have had better success at the major league level, i.e. Nick Sogard. So you didn't really give up much, if anything, to get this guy. I think it's absolutely a name worth taking a flyer on. This feels like the exact type of player that's going to do really well in the Andrew Bailey / Craig Breslow / Justin Willard / whoever you want to say run prevention unit on the Boston Red Sox right now. So I actually really like this trade. It feels like they're really starting to build up that left-handed depth option for those low leverage guys as they get through the offseason here. And again, I said it in the last video, but the depth in the bullpen is extremely important. I'm not going to rehash it, but I do think it's important to note that not everyone in the bullpen is going to be some superstar $200 million player, right? You need guys who are going to be able to come up for 3, maybe 4 series this season and glue this bullpen together while you're waiting on these bigger pieces to either get healthy or get right, and that's exactly what Moran could be. So I'm not going to poo-poo any trade that actually does that. Again, you gave up nothing to get him. Again, I want to reiterate, this is probably a name that you're not going to see at least for the first few months of this season, but I do think this is someone you see once he's healthy at the major league level for a few spells here, so I absolutely thought it was worth noting. Now, again, we're not only talking about a trade in this video, so let's break down the latest goings on with the Red Sox and free agency. When it comes to free agency and the Boston Red Sox, there's one name right now that stands above the rest, and that is Alex Bregman. It feels like all eyes are on Boston when it comes to Alex Bregman. Taking a look at the latest surrounding him, there's actually quite a bit of smoke. Alex Cora, basically the day the Red Sox signed Walker Buehler, did an interview in his home country, and in that interview, he said, look, we're not so much focused on starting pitching anymore. What I'm focusing on is a right-handed second baseman. Now, right off the bat, you're going to be like, Corbin, why does that relate to Bregman? Bregman's a third baseman. Well, the Red Sox have been looking at Alex Bregman as a right-handed hitting second baseman. I don't think that's too much of a coincidence. We've known for a while now that Alex Cora really, really likes Alex Bregman, right? Basically, since the winter meetings began, since the Red Sox were first connected to Bregman, Alex Cora has been on this boat. In fact, he basically gushed all over this dude during the winter meetings. We know that Alex Cora is pushing the front office to go for a Bregman type, and we know that Craig Breslow is a little hesitant on him. We've heard both of those things coming out of the winter meetings, so it's not an entirely big surprise that Alex Cora is still looking at Alex Bregman. But what I will say is I don't think this was just thrown out there on a whim. Alex Cora really isn't the type of guy who's going to go out there and just throw ideas against the wall and see if they stick. He's usually, once he talks about a player, especially in free agency, or if he's talking about a move the Red Sox could potentially make, he's talking about it in terms of actual probabilities. So the fact that he's saying, I want to focus, or I want the Red Sox focus to be on a right-handed second baseman, leads me to believe that the Red Sox are genuinely considering this. And it's not just Alex Cora who's confirmed that the Red Sox are pretty interested. In fact, Mark Feinsand, who has his moments, was on MLB Network the other day, and he said that he believes that the Alex Bregman sweepstakes is essentially coming down to the Red Sox and the Tigers. And on top of that, a couple of days ago, we did get this tweet by Ed Hand. Now, Ed Hand isn't a notoriously known reporter. He's not a guy who has a ton of credibility in the industry in terms of breaking inside news, but what I will say is Ed was pretty on point with the Walker Buehler stuff up until the signing. He had information about where they were in the contract negotiations. He knew about the signing before the actual signing occurred. So it is clear that Ed Hand, to some degree, has some insider information when it comes to Red Sox goings on. And here's what he had to say about where the Red Sox were. He said, quote, hearing Bregman wants 7 years and the Red Sox are only willing to go 5, which to me actually does make some sense, right? Especially if you're starting to see some teams drop out of the Alex Bregman sweepstakes. It feels like the Astros are sort of on the outside looking in on this one. It feels like the Mets have kind of backed off just a little bit. The Yankees, to a pretty large degree, have backed off of this idea as well. If it really is just coming down to the Tigers and the Red Sox kind of have the upper hand here, right? I think the Tigers could get desperate and end up offering them a bunch of years, but for the Red Sox, if you're in this position right now, I'm absolutely standing pat at 5 years, right? If this is actually what's going on, which again, there is some credibility behind in terms of past success here from Ed Hand, I absolutely love the idea that the Red Sox are sort of strong-arming this, they're trying to get him to 5 years, because 7 years for Alex Bregman versus 5 years for Alex Bregman, in my opinion, are two completely different situations, right? Bregman, until he's 37, 38 years old, is much different from Bregman until he's 35, 36 years old. I know it's just a couple of years, but a lot can happen in terms of production and probabilities in a couple of years when you're in your mid to late 30s. So I love the idea that the Red Sox are sitting there saying, look, we'll give you your AAV you're looking for. Maybe we'll even give you a little bit more than the AAV you're looking for, but we're not going to commit to you past your age 36 season. I think that's a really, really smart move. And ultimately, I think right now, this is the guy who's got the most smoke around him. I personally have been saying for a little bit now that I think Bregman might be the best bat option on the open market in terms of what the Red Sox are looking for, especially with his ability to play second base. If that's something the Red Sox want to do, there are ways to fit Christian Campbell into this lineup before everyone panics without having him play second base. So you've got a ton of options with Bregman. I think that's the biggest thing that's pointing me in his direction, not to mention obviously the low strikeout rate and his ability to put up 20, 25 home runs pretty consistently over the last 3 years. So I really like the fact that they're in on Bregman, and it feels like if the Red Sox are going to add anyone right now free agent wise, it's going to be Bregman at some point, right? All of the dots are kind of connecting them to Bregman more so than they're connecting them to Teoscar or Santander, but it's probably one of those things we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't know how imminent a Alex Bregman decision may be. Jeff Passan, I believe the other day, said that they are getting close to a decision, or Bregman's camp specifically is getting close to a decision on where he wants to go, so maybe we get a conclusion in the next couple of days, but this part of free agency is kind of wonky. Guys who signed during the winter meetings, those are the guys that really sort of put the pedal to the metal here and said, no, I want a team by the end of the winter meetings, and things started to heat up. If you get past the winter meetings, well, you've got essentially 2 months until spring training to decide where you want to go, and so I think this may take some time to come to fruition, but it's absolutely, in my opinion, the name Red Sox fans should be paying attention to more than anyone else on the free agent market. However, that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about all this? Are you caught up fully on Red Sox news? Was there anything I missed here that you want to talk about in a future video? What do you think about the trade the Red Sox put together here? What do you think about the latest on Bregman? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know all your thoughts on the latest Red Sox news in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.